And hey, good morning. Welcome to Breakthrough Walls. I'm Ken Walls. I am your host, and I am excited to have my buddy on here today. Let me hang on. Let me get this right here. All right, so I have Shawn Flynn. Hey, bro, how you doing, man?
Doing good, man. How you doing on a Friday morning?
I'm doing great, man. What a great
Love
way
it.
to
Love it.
end this week. So hey, man. Number one, thank you for coming on the show. I'm trying to get my settings right over here on Facebook, but
No worries.
listen. As I told you, this show is about helping people have a breakthrough in life, and I've seen I've seen and heard some unbelievable stories from some of the guests I've had on. And, I think that people learn and grow by hearing other people's stories. It gives them hope, right? And maybe
Spot on.
teaches them some things that they can do to succeed in life. And I've known you for years now. We're not like besties or anything,
No, but in the
but
social media world,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So tell me, let's start with where you were born and raised.
So born and raised in Portland, Maine. Well, I was born in Portland, but raised in Buxton, Maine, which, if anybody is familiar with the Shawshank Redemption, Buxton, Maine makes a nice appearance in that little video. It's a nice little country town, but beautiful town. So born and raised in Maine. I went to college at Stonehill, which is a little bit south of Boston, and then I lived in Boston for 8 years. And then life happens. I had my first daughter, and that kind of brought us back to Maine, which is where I've been ever since. So most of my childhood and adulthood life, I've been here in Maine.
Nice, dude. Nice. So, so growing up in Maine, and I've never been to Maine. I've heard that it's absolutely beautiful.
Come here in the summertime, stay out in the winter.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. Lots of snow.
Right.
Growing up there, like what was like your childhood influences? What are some of the things that kind of made you who you are today?
Yeah, Maine is very small townish, the whole state really. Portland, Maine is of course a city, and there's some other cities, but it's very much small town. So growing up, a lot of your influences, it's going to be your parents. I had two older brothers who are both incredibly successful in their own rights. They were a good influence on me growing up. And then teachers and coaches, kind of old school teachers and coaches. I ran track and cross country and whatnot. Had an amazing coach, Coach Wilkinson. And just kind of growing up in the country.
Right, right. Like what was did you get into any trouble as a kid?
I
did you
was so well behaved, it's not even funny. I didn't touch alcohol until college. I
Wow.
was a I was a good kid. I was, out of me and my two older brothers, I'm definitely the rebel, and I always was the rebel, but I would find other ways of getting into trouble without it being like real trouble. I was a jokester. I was always finding something at school, some way, somehow to, either disrupt class or make the teachers laugh or I was always getting into different types of trouble, but I was all in all actually a pretty good kid. And then I did hit college, and I kind of found myself a little bit. And when we talk about like growing up in Maine and who my influences were, it is a very kind of small community. And then, you hit college where you're kind of out on your own.
Yeah.
And while, my views on college have definitely changed now, it's one of those things where I still wouldn't take it back because
Right.
college, I say college is where I found myself. So different topic, but while I do think college is a big scam and waste for a lot of people. And I'm not using my degree. However, I did find myself in college. Yes, I started cracking some beers and having a little bit of fun and whatnot. But, I went through some things mentally and emotionally through college, which I hadn't been exposed to yet. And I needed to be exposed to. And I wouldn't be as free spirited as I am now were it not for that. So it's one of those things where, I cherish it for the person it made me become.
Right, right. So you, what was your major in college?
Criminal justice.
Oh, wow.
So I went to college with a mindset of I wanted to get into police work. And that will kind of tie in nicely to a lot of what I'll share with you today, and my reasons for wanting to get into police work is because since I can remember, I mean, I've always wanted to help people, and in high school, kind of coming out of high school, like, I don't want to say shallow-minded or short-minded, but in my mind, like, that was, how do I help people? How do I get in front of people? Well, get into law enforcement, become a good police officer, become somebody in the community that, breaks all the other stigmas that people may hold against police officers and whatnot, and just get out there and help. And that was kind of my mindset to getting into it. And then life happens, and then you got to find a way to make some money, and, life happens, you kind of veer off track a bit. But that will tie in nicely to some of the other stuff I'm going to share with you, that burning desire from a young age to just want to help people,
Yeah. So you were did you graduate college?
I did.
And,
I did.
And with a degree in criminal justice?
It was. So I finished the degree through, got my bachelor's degree in that. I minored in psychology, and right out the gate, so I went to college at Stonehill, and then I lived in Boston, some of which with my brother, but I lived all around Boston, different cities, different towns, different areas.
Yeah.
And, I actually worked for the TSA for a while, fresh out of college,
Yeah.
Logan Airport. It was good money, they paid well right out of college. I did that for a couple years. And that was the closest I ever came to actually using my degree.
Wow.
But I'm somebody that I've always had that desire to do more, and that I don't settle. I want to become something better. So, of course, I hit a point with the TSA where it was like, all right, let's look bigger and better. And then I got into real estate down there, and a lot of things followed after that.
Wow. So where was that? Where you were working for TSA? Boston?
Logan Airport, which is Boston. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I did that for a couple of years, and again, it's one of those, like, everything in life that you go through, you pull things from it. And I learned a lot from that job, dealing with so many different people and so many walks of life and different personalities. You learn how to, handle people that are in kind of a stressful situation and flip them around, which, with some of my sales life, trust me, I gained a lot of skills dealing with the public and the masses doing that type of a job.
Right.
So
yeah. So when you you left the TSA, like, what happened next? Where did you go from there?
So as I said, I'm very free spirited, and while working for the TSA, that's when my first daughter was born, Pearl. She's 10 now, so we're talking about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I was working for the TSA when she was born, and living in Boston is not cheap. My ex-wife, who is the mother of Pearl, my oldest, and now, of course, I'm with Kylie, and we have our two boys and little Kinley. My ex-wife at the time was kind of the caretaker for Pearl. She was staying home with her, so it was just one income. It was one income trying to support a young family in Boston, which is tough. Money is tough, especially in Boston, on one income. So naturally, what do we got to do? We got to find a way. Got to find a way to make some money. Got to find a way to make some money. So I'm doing some research online, and I stumbled upon a cool real estate hustle, which is apartment rentals, which here in Maine, not a big thing, but down in a city like Boston, especially with all the colleges around, that is a huge, huge industry if you are motivated and you're an actual hustler to go out there and make things happen. So I kind of stumbled upon that, and I started working that part-time. And then I started seeing some of the checks come in, because I would go for the heavy hitters. I would go for the big checks, the big apartments. And, you see a couple of those checks come in. And that's when I transitioned out of the TSA. He's like, all right, this is a job that's freeing me up to where I'm able to make more money. I'm able to be able to kind of make my schedule a little bit more. And that's when I first fell into sales. That was my first real, true sales experience, which, of course, is amazing. If you're a hard worker in sales, there are some freedoms that come with that, And I love that, and I appreciated that.
Yeah.
And that's where I fell into.
And it was in what industry?
And so apartment rentals.
Oh, okay.
So you would just broker, deals between prospective tenants and landlords.
I got you. Okay. Wow.
It was a quick turnaround, quick hustle. There's always people looking for apartments, especially I would hit up the Harvard area and all the other college universities down there, because those kids need housing. A lot of those kids, mommy and daddy have a lot of money. So I was smart, man. I would go after the 4-bedroom apartments that would rent for $4,000 or grand and just make nice commissions off of those.
How did you get your leads?
I worked for a broker.
Right.
And it wasn't all in-house. I actually did a lot of prospecting on Craigslist. Now this is 10 years ago, so it was a different environment. But, I put the work in. I put the work in on Craigslist. I found my way to work around Craigslist rules, which, everybody does it. But hey, if you're hungry, you got that Grant Cardone mindset. If you want to be everywhere all the time, I would have multiple email addresses running so I could run, same ads multiple times, constantly keeping them fresh, constantly keeping in front of people, and just hitting Craigslist hard. I found that outlet and just hammered it.
Wow, nice, dude. So, so people would call you.
Oh yeah. Because I'd be running, and some of, it's just like any, it's no different than if you're selling cars. You're going to have people that are going to call the dealership, and you're going to get leads from the dealership. But if you're smart at what you're doing and you're prospecting on your own, you've also got people coming to you directly. So I would definitely had my own pipeline going.
Right. So, okay, so you got into sales, you got your feet wet, so to speak, in sales there. But if you think about it, like everything we do in life is selling, right? So, but this was your first professional sales job, though, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And I love it, and I remember it so much to this day. I remember bringing my little daughter, Pearl at the time, when she was like 6 months old. I'd bring her around with me, get the sympathy, you know what I mean? Pull some deals with her,
That's awesome, dude.
It was a fun gig. It was definitely fun.
So what was like, did you get into any other sales after that? How long did you do the apartment gig?
I did that for about a year. And with life, there are a lot of regrets, but I'm a firm believer in the good and the bad, the ups and the downs. Everything happens for a reason. So I won't get into all the details, but some things happened with my first marriage and all of that, and life just happened. There were some mistakes on my end, some mistakes on other people's end. We ended up back in Maine. Long story short, we had to come back to Maine. That's where the family is. So I came back to Maine, landed a job, and this is where a lot of what I want to talk about today was, taking risks and feeling your way to success, right? So I landed what most people, especially in Maine, would deem to be like a dream job, and that was working for the local phone company. At the time, it had just transitioned from Verizon to Fairpoint. It was this huge thing, and it was a mess of a transition, and now Fairpoint's gone, but I got a job for the local phone company, which was a union job. Yeah. And the pay was for Maine, and for me at the time, the pay was stupid. I mean, you ended up you had to work your way up. A couple of years in, you'd get a raise every like 3 to 6 months, what have you. But it topped out. I was making about 65, 70 grand just by being a customer service rep. It was a sales job because you were required to upsell phone and DirecTV and internet services, not so it was another sales job. But it was kind of that job that most people, when they get that job, they bank it. They're a lifer. That's just the union world, especially there. And I worked there for 5 to 6 years, and then took a big old risk in that a sales manager position had opened up, which at the time, and union and management, some companies are better than others, but normally it's a very rocky relationship and a very rocky road. And the union's contract was coming up to expire that August, and the sales manager position had opened up, in July. And I'm sitting there, and yes, I was making good money at the time, what I consider to be good money, taking care of the family and whatnot. Okay, all well and good. But, I had that gnawing voice inside of me that, dude, you're supposed to be doing more. This is not supposed to be your coffin. You're not supposed to just do this and come to work. It was sales, but I didn't like it. It's not that I didn't like the sales. I didn't like the fact that was going to be it for me. I wanted more. So,
but I want to interrupt you. I'm sorry. I want to back up a little bit, because this is called Breakthrough Walls, and it's about breaking through the bad stuff. And I want to back up to before you went back to Maine, because you said I don't want to get into the details, and I don't need you to get detailed. But what are some of the things that were going wrong that, like you said, you got a divorce, you had things. I mean, that's the stuff that people. Here's why I bring this back up, is that's the stuff that people go through, and they get stuck and they stay stuck. And that's what this show is about. Like, dude, you went through a divorce, you had your daughter, you had all of these things. Like, what happened?
So I went through not only a divorce, but I also ended up going through bankruptcy.
Wow.
But, you know,
those are details we need to know, man.
I know, man. Well, that's why you're here, to poke prod, right? You know, when I say I don't want to get into the details, I just mean as far as me and the ex-wife goes. I'm not going to.
I get that.
I'm not the type to air dirty laundry.
Yeah. I get that.
And I made some bad decisions myself too. You know, one thing I'll say is, you know, back with the real estate when I was doing that, I also at the time was pretty heavy into online poker, and I made some pretty big errors and mistakes there as well, getting ahead of myself. You know, there's a problem that comes with finding yourself into new money that you're not accustomed to, because you start feeling like you're invincible, and you start feeling like, and this is sales 101. You know, actually somebody yesterday on Facebook, I just posted a question, you know, if you've been crushing it for the last 8 months in sales and then all of a sudden you fall on your face, why do you think that is? And I commented, well, you got complacent, you know, because you get used to the fact that your money is just coming in, and then you start getting in your head thinking you're invincible, and because you're now at this level of income and success with sales that it's just owed to you, so you stop your prospecting, and then, you know, if you take, and I'm going to tell you this, you know this, but for other people, you know, in the sales world, if you're crushing it, and while you're crushing it, you take a couple weeks off, you take your foot off the gas for a month, you are going to feel a ripple effect from that. Yeah. You may not see it right away while the money's coming and go, but you will feel a ripple effect when you take your foot off the gas at any stage. You're going to feel it down the road, whether it's a month down the road or 2 months down the road, but there's a ripple effect. But in addition,
so you got into this gambling stuff, and I'm sure that your previous wife, I call mine a previous learning experience, but you know, like were there fights?
Yes and no.
Yeah. Arguments, I'm talking like, was there did it cause a lot of problems, I guess? What was it, you know?
It caused problems because, you know, when you're a gambler, now, I still consider myself a good poker player.
Sure.
I'll do that, but now I'm not to say, I'll play poker again when I'm 7 years old.
Right.
You know, but I was stubborn, and I had it in my mind, and this again was limited thinking at the time too, where I've always wanted to make it. I've always wanted success. I've always wanted to be a big shot, right? So in my mind at the time, dude, poker was my only way. That was the only way I was ever going to become anything. That was my only chance of making money. That was the only chance of really being able to level up was poker. So I just had that mindset.
Right.
And when you're a gambler and you have a problem with it, you lie. You know, it's no different than a drug addiction or an alcohol addiction. You lie about it. You minimize it.
Yep.
You hide it. You know, if you lose $1,000 in a hand, you don't tell anybody about it. You have ways to cover your tracks, and I did all that.
Right.
And
and again, this isn't to humiliate you, dude, in any way.
Hey, man, I'm always an open book.
This is more about. This is about like, you know. I've been sober 16 years. On August 10th, I'll have 16 years sober, and I've lived all those lies. I've lived all of that, and it's not until you come clean, until you like, okay, this is what I've been doing, this is what happened, blah blah blah, that you get real freedom in life. Like, that's where you start experiencing the real, true freedom, and so. You know, that's what this is about, man, is tell people, like, look, okay, I made these mistakes, and this is how I screwed up, and then, you know, I recovered, because that's what this is about, man, right?
Yeah, definitely. So, you know, that basically, and I'll say this too, you know, the bankruptcy happened a couple years down the road because it was just a constant snowball effect, you know. And again, it wasn't strictly the poker and whatnot. There are a lot of things going on, but from my end, that's what I'll own. And, you know, we ended up having to come back to Maine. I mean, hell, we got evicted. You know, we got evicted from where we were living. And, you know, again, a part of it is, like I said, you come into new money and you get ahead of yourself. You know, you come into new money and you raise your lifestyle too quickly. I started making the money, and then it's like, well, why don't we get a more expensive, apartment? Why don't we level up? Why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? And you start putting money at it. And then it doesn't take long, especially in the sales world. Like I said, you get distracted, which I did. Guess what happens? All of a sudden, that money that was coming in from the real estate kind of slows down a bit. And then it's like a boom. You can go from winning to falling on your face in a span of a month in sales. I mean, you truly can. If you take your foot off the gas, it happens. So
yeah, yep.
Ran into that, and we got evicted. We got forced back to Maine. Made it happen. At the time, I lucked into that union job, and was there for a while. I got my foot back on track. There was a time period where it got pretty dark. I had creditors calling me. I had,
But for the record, I hate it when that happens.
I know, but it is what it is. You get yourself into trouble and it happens,
Sure.
Because while money is falling short, you start opening credit cards and you start maxing credit cards out, and it all just comes back to bite you.
Yeah.
And, I was at a point where, it was just me and my daughter for a time, and we were just kind of living together, doing our thing, and I'm like trying to slowly rebuild. But while you're trying to rebuild, you got creditors and sheriffs and subpoena and all this nonsense following you. It was just crazy.
Yeah.
And then because of all that, you start drinking too much, and you just get into this dark cycle. And I was in that dark cycle for a good, 2 to 3 years. And I give my beautiful wife, Kylie, a ton of credit.
Hey, I was getting ready to ask you if you know somebody named Kylie Flynn. She's on here.
I do. That's my beautiful wife. She found me. If there's an angel in my life, it's her. Because she, what to say, man, love comes when you're least expecting it. Out of nowhere, she just came knocking, and she pulled me out of my depression. She pulled me out of a very dark, bad place.
So she knocked on your door one night, like, hey.
Well, she knocked on my Facebook door.
Oh, did she?
It's a fun. Yeah, we met on. Believe it or not, we met on Facebook.
I believe it. That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, she had added me as a friend. We had a couple friends in common, and I thought she was cute, so whatever. We just kind of started talking, and
that's awesome.
Or a week later we met. We were talking for about a week or two, and then we met at a hotel in Boston, talk about, just going with emotions and living free, man. We met at a hotel in Boston. She was flying to New York. Me being slick, I'm like, hey, why don't I just come meet you? Whatever. We'll just kick it and have some fun. And from that night, we haven't been apart. She moved in with me like a week later, and
wow,
the rest is history. So she definitely came in and helped out.
That's awesome.
But, as far as, getting back to getting into that union job and whatnot, because that's where a lot of things for me really, that's where my change began, so finally got a stable life, right? After all the nonsense, after all the headaches, met Kylie, managed to get through. When I met Kylie, I wasn't even divorced yet. We were separated.
Yeah.
So I got through the divorce, went through bankruptcy, was making a career at, the phone company, and, took care of the bad debt. Started getting back on track. We had a couple kids. Things were kind of like moving in the right direction. And then I decided to take a risk, and I decided to take the sales manager job that had opened up. And despite the fact that I knew by doing that the entire, union world, man, you cross the boundaries and become management. You are blackballed. Especially at a time where there's a strike was happening a month later. It was craziness. I had, the union was threatening to picket at our wedding. Like, it was crazy. Like, I jumped into the fire. And it was a pay cut. Taking the sales manager job was a pay cut.
Wow.
And everybody, people in the union, my closer friends, like, everybody was telling me, dude, you're crazy. Because at the time of the union, unlimited benefits. It was just crazy.
Yeah.
Everybody was telling me I'm crazy. Friends, family, whoever, dude, what are you doing? You got it made. Just leave it be. I'm like, no, I got to be more. I want to be more. And I know that, yes, I'm taking a pay cut, but I know that taking the next step towards sales management, man, that's going to get me further ahead. It's going to be a resume thing. That's going to be something I can build on.
Right.
So I took all the risks, did all that, and I held that position for a couple of years, ended up turning my team around, right? So the strike happened. I took the position. I ended up getting separated from my family for a good 6 months because a strike did happen, and there was a replacement workforce that ended up getting hired out of Columbus, Ohio, which I believe is in your
yeah.
You want?
Yeah, that's where I am.
So I was out in Columbus for basically 6 months. I'd come home for a day every 2 weeks.
Wow.
But I was there, running a call center out there, and again, just kind of furthering that skill set. And then came back, man. The union was told to hate me, right? My team was told to hate me. And guess what, man? When I ended up leaving there, they were crying because they loved me. So
wow, yeah,
it is what it is. But I'll say this: when I got into that sales manager position, I was complacent then too. I wasn't really super hungry. It wasn't until I stumbled a guy called Grant Cardone. Who, love him or hate him, you don't gotta listen to everything. But I'll tell you what, man, he is the guy that shifted everything for me, because he got my think bigger. He got my think bigger. I'm sitting there like, I like dealing with people. I like sales. I like doing this. I like everything about this. And you start, educating yourself and kind of going further and diving deeper into wanting to, again, not settle and not get complacent and further yourself. So I ended up, again, talking about risks and failing your way to success. I ended up getting my confidence up and, getting up. I'd have to be, I worked the typical, 8 to 5 type job. But I was getting up at 4 o'clock every morning and listening to Cardone and watching not just Cardone, but other salespeople and taking it to work and just getting super motivated and super pumped up to the point where I'm looking around at what I was doing at a company like the phone company where nobody else is doing. The sales training I was giving, and I was just getting super pumped up to the day where I just got the balls and I just up and quit. I don't know where I was like, I'm done. And then I started, trying to do sales training on my own and starting a sales training company, which, by the way, didn't work.
Wow.
But it's okay, because taking that risk and just quitting a job that again, other people, they tell you you're crazy. You got to take risks on yourself.
Yep.
You got to fail your way to success, because, back against the wall, if you're going all in on yourself and if you truly believe in yourself and you put your back against the wall, guess what? You're going to make it. Yeah, you fail, and yeah, sometimes you fall on your face, but you don't die. And if you're smart, you take things and you learn from it. And a huge part of what I pulled from, trying to do all the sales training and whatnot was social media. Social media was something that I was a part of, just like everybody, but I wasn't using it for business. But I learned, in the transitioning from what I was doing for the phone company to trying to do the sales training thing on my own, I was hitting social media like a madman. I mean, if there's one thing I learned, it's how to use social media, get your name out there, grow a following, make connections, drive traffic, all of that. I became a social media beast through that. So while it didn't pan out the way I wanted it to, I pulled a ton of just social media knowledge from all of that, and I held on to it. And then I ended up in the automotive world. And if I'm going too fast, feel free to stop me.
Now I do want to back up. So this is all at the phone company?
So the phone company, I left the phone company to do sales training on my own.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
To try to become a sales trainer that would go to a business and train the people and all that. So I quit on a whim without a real plan. It was something that I had been, while I was working for the phone company. That's when I did find Periscope and whatnot, and I would do a lot of things there. It just gets your confidence up, So I got my confidence up to the point of you know what? Screw it. Yeah. I believe myself. I'm going to make it happen. Yeah. And it's just you.
So then you didn't make it.
Didn't make it. Okay. I hung in there. I lasted about a year.
Yeah.
Without any other income, which is good. I worked other things on the side. I did some social media stuff with a couple, clients that I have always and whatnot. So I made it for about a year, but it did hit the point where I was like, all right, Kylie, God love her, we got pregnant again. Yeah. And it was one of those moments where it's like, all right, we got to make something happen. And that's
when you got it. You said automotive.
Got into the automotive world, which I'm still in, and I've been in different capacities and whatnot.
Yeah. So what do you do in automotive? What did you start selling cars?
No, I actually built a sales BDC for I'm here in Maine, and it's a pretty massive auto group here. We've got 12 showrooms and we're in 3 cities and whatnot. It's if not the biggest, one of the biggest auto groups up here. And the funny thing is, man, when I applied for the job, because I was just started poking around, and it's a tough pill to swallow, pride-wise and ego-wise, when you do go all in on yourself, and then you're kind of like, oh man, it's not working, I got to find. It's a tough pill to swallow to be like, oh, I got to go get a job. I'm bigger than that, and I'm above that. But sometimes you got to swallow your humble pie, and you got to do what you got to do to take care of your family and whatnot. I'm just kind of poking around, and me being maybe a little bit cocky and maybe a little bit overconfident because I had no automotive experience whatsoever. I had stumbled upon a job ad that they had for a sales manager position. And I'm like, okay, I'll do that. I'm just going to do that. Of course who's going to say no to me, right?
Right.
Of course they're going to take me.
Right.
So I reached out to them, and it was funny because at the time I had a website, this is going back, it's not up anymore, but ShawnFlynnSales.com I had, and I had all my social media and whatnot. So I literally just emailed. I didn't even apply. I just emailed them. I'm like, hey, here's my website. I'd love to come work for you guys. I'd love to show you what I can do to turn things around, whatever. The fact, and again, you got to take something from your failures. The fact that I had that, dude, they loved it. They saw what I was doing, and they saw somebody who, like, this guy's got his own website, and he's like, what? I had a couple sales courses that I had made. And they were like, well, yeah, like pretty much hired me on the spot because,
wow,
yeah, which is cool.
Yeah.
But I didn't get the sales manager position. Obviously they did bring me in and talk to me a little bit what I had done. I told them about my call center background, which, a little side note for anybody that is wanting to get into sales, dude, call center is a beautiful place to start just because of the sheer volume. It's just nonstop. You're getting, if you want to perfect a script or perfect an approach or try different closes and whatnot, a call center, I mean, you're going to be talking to 80 to 100 people a day, if not more. So definitely a little side note there. Don't be afraid of call center jobs if you get started. It's like your boot camp. You learn a lot there. But, so they had seen that in BDC world, for anybody that doesn't know automotive, that's like an internet sales team. They handle internet leads, phone calls coming into the dealership, prospecting, data mining, just kind of the back end, early process part of a lot of the sales.
It stands for Business Development Center.
Yes. And a good BDC, that's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to
develop business.
Develop business, right? So, I did that for a bit. We when I had stepped into the BDC at the time, they weren't handling the sales leads. They were basically just kind of handing them off. They were more or less just like an admin center where leads would come in and they would just assign them. It was like a 2-person job. So I came in and I'm like, day one, I'm looking around like, oh, this is stupid. We should be handling the leads. We should be making the calls. So I helped them develop, just a new approach and a new process and whatnot, which was huge. And when I came on board, I was preaching social media. I was preaching, we got to be hitting social media. You guys should put me, let me show you what we can do with social media. And it was kind of one of those, we'll get you there, start with this and we'll get you there and whatnot. And I was, after about a year of kind of handling the BDC world for them, they approached me and they said, okay, we're ready to take the next level, social media wise. We really want you to kind of just jump in and put your hands on it, which is what I've been doing now for about a year, and I've loved it, man.
Now, are you handling this for just one location or all locations?
It's 12 different showrooms.
No kidding.
I'm the guy, and it's fun, and it's a lot of fun because it's a cool auto group. I get to do a lot. We do a lot with the community. I do a lot. Got a cool mascot, Otto the Moose, that I go around and we bring donuts to businesses, and we do a lot with it.
That's awesome, dude.
But for me, again, as the chain of events, continue to evolve and continue to expand, you pull every new opportunity that you take and you embark on. You gotta always be looking to extract something to add to your toolkit. Yeah. So while I was good with social media, one of the areas that I was not, a rock star in because I just hadn't really dealt with it much, was Facebook ads, which is a huge part of social media these days. And I got myself in a position with this company now to where I'm not going to say how much money, but we spend a lot of money on social media, on Facebook ads, which I get to run. At any given time, just for this auto group, I have between 80 and 100 Facebook ads running.
Yeah.
And, that's just, as far as my social media toolkit goes, that's just another thing that I now have in my pocket, which has led me to the new business that I'm launching on my end on the side, which is Socially Winning Marketing, which is a social media marketing company that is something I'm building on the side and having a lot of fun with. But it's just, again, one of those things where, I talked a lot about that union job because I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now and loving what I'm doing now and having a position now to where I have, a huge opportunity knocking on the door for me with the marketing company that I'm opening up. And it's like, none of this would have happened if I would have listened to the people that told me to not take a chance. None of this would have happened, and I'm talking everybody, every single coworker, every single friend, every single family, everybody telling me that I'm crazy.
Yep.
To risk a good thing, dude, you got a good thing. But man, if you're hungry and if you want more, you got to take a risk on yourself. And you got to understand that you are going to fall on your face and you are going to get hurt and your ego's going to get busted up along the way.
Yep.
You know what? If you commit and you stick with it and you accept your failures, failing to success, man, I'm telling you, it's like it is my bread and butter, and it's just what I preach all the time, because you have to fail to get to where you want to go, and you're not going to fail to get to where you want to go if you don't take risks, if you don't take a chance on yourself, you know.
And I think it's probably necessary to point out that, you know, my lighting is terrible today. I look like I'm half dead. But
It's all good. I've got a spotlight in front of me, but I don't know how it's working.
Yeah, it's you look tan. I look pale. But I think it's worth pointing out that there is no way, like, you know, Facebook. I've had a marketing company for years, many years. I've been in marketing a long time, and Facebook called my office and wanted to form a partnership with me for the
Nice.
Columbus market, and I was like, for what? First off, I didn't think it was Facebook. I'm like, they don't have a phone number. I told my assistant I said, no, just tell them to email. Well, then I get an email from some chick at fb.com, and I'm like,
Okay.
oh, okay, yeah, this is Facebook. So, but like, you know, I remember I'd run a couple of ads here and there, but I didn't, you don't know. And Facebook's constantly changing. So it's like, you know, you don't know what you don't know. And so you go into a dealership where you're running BDC, and it's like, well, okay, yeah, we'll figure it out, you know, right?
Right.
Like you gotta, and is Kathy White Flynn related?
That's my mom.
Is that your mom?
That's
She's
my mom.
on here. Hey, Mom. So you know, you figure it out is my point. Like, you go in and you go, okay, I'm gonna figure this out somehow. We'll make it work, and you've done that.
And that's been my motto forever. You know, commit first, figure it out.
Right.
Can you do this? Absolutely, I can do this. And dude, I am all these different things that I've done and I've tried and I've tested. It's all self-taught.
Right.
I mean, and it's like, you know, Google is a very powerful tool, and so is YouTube. You know, and it's like, as long as you are confident in yourself and your ability to take the time, take in information, apply it.
Yep.
I mean, there's nothing you cannot teach yourself how to do. Now, in the business world, it can be tricky, because then, you know, if you are trying to grow a business and trying to do everything at once, well, that can also be problematic. But as you're starting out, you know, you got to figure shit out. You know, I remember going back to Shawn Flynn Sales. I made 2 courses from scratch by myself. I didn't have a video producer. I didn't have anybody. I had my laptop that I'm using right now.
Yeah.
I had a Yeti microphone. I taught myself how to make a white screen. I taught myself how to handle the audio.
Yeah.
I all this stuff where it's like somebody just came to me like, all right, I want you as a one person to make a sales course and build a website and create the platform itself with zero knowledge how to do it. Guess what? I pulled it all out because I just taught my, you know, when you want it that badly, you figure it out.
Yeah.
I mean, it took me like 3 weeks at the time I was making that course to figure out how to perfect the audio and how to, I mean, everything. You know, you figure one thing out and then something else goes bust. You figure another thing. On my white screen. I mean, this is everything that you try to like tackle. There's always going to be obstacles ahead of yourself, and you just got to be ready and willing and know ahead of time that it's going to happen. And again, you got to figure your way to success. You just got to.
So, you know, here's the thing, though. You know, and I've personally been an entrepreneur I'm 50 years old. I've been an entrepreneur since I was probably, well, I mean, it started when I was 7 or 8, when I was going door to door selling snow shoveling services and
Right.
and you know, so and mowing yards and all that. But you know, I've owned a business most of my adult life. So, you know, when people tell me they have a job and they really want to go to the, you know, they want to start their own business, or they want to do this or that, or they have and no offense to anybody doing a side hustle at all, because I say I get it. I don't get it. I just don't. I can't wrap my brain around doing a side hustle, like, because I'm one of those people. It's like, you know, there's no such thing as a little bit pregnant. Like I'm all in, man. Like, you know, Like, and I don't. So when I like, so what the people out there that are thinking about, there's going to be a lot of people. Remember, this goes out to millions of people on the Binge TV network. So, like, when people are watching this, and they're like thinking, well, I want to start this business. I want to do more with my life. What do you think in your opinion? This is about your opinion. Doesn't mean you're right or wrong. It's just your opinion. What do you think the number one thing is that's holding people back in life from success and true happiness?
Lack of commitment. Look, and we've all, well, maybe not all, most of us have made excuses at one point or another. I would assume all of us, but most of us have made excuses at one point or another as to why we can't do something. I forget what movie it's from, but it's a quote that, actually, you know what? I think it's The Office, actually. God love her. Jan Levinson on The Office, when I think it was Pam was talking about wanting to go to art school and do, better herself. But she was just listing all the reasons why she couldn't,
Right.
This and that, and that. And Jan says, there's always a million reasons not to do something, which is true. And there's always a million excuses you can come up to as to why you can't. Or you can just put your head down and make it happen, and everybody's going to say there's not enough hours in the day, not enough time in the day. Dude, if you want it that badly, you'll find a way to make it happen.
Yep.
And that's
right.
You got to have a little voice in your head. I have a little voice. I talk about the little voice in my head, and I don't care if it makes me sound crazy because it gets me by. I got a little man inside of my head that is constantly analyzing what I'm doing in every single moment, and I know when I'm not doing enough, and I know when I'm slacking or not getting up at the time that I should be. Like I said, when I was working at the phone company, trying to position myself and transition and doing something on my own. Okay, great. Prior to all that, just like most people, I was getting up at 5:30, 6 o'clock, getting ready to go to work. Okay, fine. All right. Well, guess what? If you're not able to get shit done, then you got to get up. That's when you got to start getting up early. And I know some people they bash the whole getting up early thing, but look, if you work a full-time job, you're a parent, you're a husband, you're a wife, whatever, and you have all these other obligations that keep you tied up, you just got to commit. You have to commit. Get up early, 2 hours a day. If you can get your ass up 2 hours earlier every single day and sacrifice for even 6 months, you do the math. 2 hours times 7 days, 14 hours. Multiply that by 4 weeks. Multiply that. Guess what? End of the month, you look back and like, holy shit, look at all the stuff that I've gotten done. It's no different than what I'm doing right now. All the work that I'm doing for the auto group that I work for, it keeps me busy. It keeps me tied up. I even bring that stuff home, and I'm doing a lot of stuff home for it. And if you want to build something like I'm working to build with a marketing agency of my own, you just got to sacrifice. You just have to understand that. Look, there's only one way this is going to get done, and that means me putting in hours outside of everything else. And if that means me losing sleep for a couple months, okay, whatever it takes to get it done. You just got to find a way to get it done. You got to commit. And if you don't have that ultimate commitment, and that little voice in your head pushing you constantly, again, my opinion, but that's to me been the key difference maker. You know when you're committed and when you're not committed.
I agree. I agree.
And it's no different. I've been hitting the gym pretty hard lately. It's a big part of what I do now too. And it's, again, do I have time for that? No, but you find time. I'm committed to taking myself to a bigger and better level in the physical world. So you commit to it.
Yeah.
And I know I'm committed because it eats at me when I if I have to miss a day or if I have to cut a workout short. You got to commit.
So if somebody is, and I know, obviously you've been here because you told me you had, you're facing, or maybe your electric's getting shut off tomorrow. Maybe you're getting evicted. Maybe your car just got repossessed. You're facing bankruptcy. You're facing divorce. You're facing, if somebody came to you and they're just broken and they're stuck and they don't know what the next thing to do is, they're just stuck. And you've been there. We've all been there where that all of that fear becomes so overwhelming it literally paralyzes you. And I want to back up. You said something about the voices and all that. Well, let me say this. The average human being has 60,000 thoughts per day, and there is no way they speak that much. So we all have voices in our head. and it's when you start vocal or talking back to the voices that you get diagnosed with multiple personality disorder. But
Right.
like we all have that, man. So that's not I have it. I mean, dude, if we're judged
No,
on that, I'm
I love
screwed.
my voice, man. I love that voice. He pushes
Yeah,
me.
yeah. I mean, we all have that, and so but the person that's there right now, they're facing ruin. They feel like they're facing ruin, like they're again, things are getting repoed or shut off, or they're just stuck, trapped. What do you say to that person to help them? Like, obviously you can't go do it in one day, but I
Right.
mean, go from zero to a millionaire. But what do you tell them? Like, okay, look, dude, this is what you got to do. What is that?
So first things first, you gotta really hit it home that look, this isn't gonna kill you. You're not. In and of itself. Going broke, in and of itself, you're not gonna die. If you fail, you're not gonna die. Like you just gotta understand that. Yes, it's hard and yes, it's overwhelming, but and it's easier said than done when you're in that moment. But dude, 5 years down the road, as long as you do X, Y, Z, you're gonna be okay. But what you have to do, and this is like, I mean, this is just advice I give to anybody, whether you're in that drastic of a situation or just in a bad spot at a different level. You have to come up with a plan. I mean, you have to come up with a plan. You literally have to sit down. What do I need? What are my needs? How can I get there? You got to build an entire blueprint, A to Z, of what you're going to do and what you can do. Start small. What, in the moment, what can I do today, to help put myself in a position to get out of this? I know I'm not going to fix it today, but what little things can I do today that will help me get moving forward? And then what can I build on tomorrow? And then what can I build on the day after that? You have to have a plan, because to me, overwhelm happens when you have 8,000 things to do or everything is falling apart and you have no direction. I mean, you literally have no direction. All you're stuck with is just the feeling of overwhelm, and that's when you spin your wheels, and that's when you literally just kind of freeze. And some people stay frozen for a lifetime, so if you don't have a plan of action, you're just going to spin your wheels and run around. So you literally have to sit down and map it out. And it might not be pretty. The map, the blueprint that you come up with, it might be a drastically scary mountain to climb. But if you don't do it, you're going to be stuck forever. You have to come up with a plan. And sometimes that means reaching out for help, and having somebody else look at your situation from an outside perspective and say, hey, man, and hit you with some truth and just let you know, like, this is what you got to do. This is how you got to get there. And there's services and there's people everywhere that will help. Another thing that I'm doing on the side right now is working towards building a nonprofit which deals with mental health, because that's a big part of what I've gone through and what I deal with.
Yeah.
And this is similar things that I tell people that are battling, through various mental health issues, and that is, you got to reach out sometimes and ask for help, and you got to sit down and come up with a plan, because overwhelm can lead to being frozen, and we don't want you there. You stay frozen, you're going to stay frozen for a lifetime.
Right,
you got to
right.
find a way to break the habit and come up with a blueprint.
Dude, I love everything you're saying. You're 1,000% on point. So like, and for those watching, and I gotta say this, man, I find this really, really cool, man. Your wife is on here. And I don't know that you're watching the comments, but she's like your I can tell she's your biggest cheerleader, man. And she's just putting a lot of great comments, and I just love that. I love that. You guys, congratulations on having such an amazing wife and relationship, because I can tell you guys adore each other. So, and that's so important. That is so, and Grant talks about that a lot, making sure that you have the right person like, it's so important. So, how can, and we're coming to the end of this, so I want to start wrapping up, but, how can everybody follow you on here?
So, easiest way obviously Facebook, you can see me, with this feed. But I am on Instagram. I have a big Instagram account that I push. I've actually got quite a few. But my main one is Shawn R. Flynn. Okay. So it's SHAWN R. Flynn.
Okay. Okay.
And Twitter is the same. I'm not as active on Twitter. Instagram and Facebook is what I hit the most. I talk a lot. I didn't get to talk much about it today, but worth looking into. I'm got my marketing agency fine, but my biggest passion right now is actually the #ICare movement. Just give it a quick little plug here, which is again, I'm going to be turning it to a nonprofit here in the next month or two, but I've been pushing it for about a year, and that's grown pretty big, and that's over on Instagram as well. Just the word #ICare. And it's just all about, spreading mental health awareness, getting people to open up, kind of similar to this with a little bit of a different angle, but, getting people to open up and share, breaking through walls here with what you're trying to do, right? You get people on to talk about how they broke through their own walls to get ahead in life so that somebody else can watch it. Maybe they have a similar story. Maybe somebody watches this and they've been through divorce and bankruptcy and similar things. And they say, okay, there is hope. The mental health side of it with #ICare is very similar. I'm trying to get people to open up about their mental health, because it's stigma in society. You're not supposed to talk about it, or you're not supposed to talk about it. I'm just trying to get so many people to open up, let you know it's okay to be battling things. It's okay to reach out for help. And the more of us that do open up and talk about these things, the easier it becomes for others, and that's what breaks the stigma. So
that's right.
I do talk a lot about mental health on Instagram. So if that's something that jives with anybody, definitely hook up with me, let me know. And I'm always looking for people to help spread love, kindness, and support for our fellow man, right?
Dude, that's what it's about. That's what this show's about. It's about It's about helping people.
And you did a live the other night, which I loved, when you were talking about, giving back and constantly giving, but doing so from a stance of you're not trying to get ahead by it. You just want to give just to give because that's the reward.
Right.
And that's a big part of what I'm doing with iCare is it's for me, a piece of this puzzle that I didn't really talk about today was the mental health side of it, just because we got down a couple different things there.
Yeah.
But it didn't matter if I ever hit any level of success. I wouldn't feel complete as a person if I wasn't fulfilling the need that I have. So you can call it selfish if you want to. I wouldn't feel complete as a person if I wasn't super proactively just trying to give back,
Well, and let me make a point with that, man. And I'm quite a bit older than you are, so I can, you gotta listen to your elders, dude. Now, I mean, like, look, there's nothing selfish about it. Like, nobody on this planet, I don't care, like, everything that we do has a selfishness to it. Like, everything. So I think that it's okay to accept that, I'm going to help somebody else out, and I benefit from that. That's okay. But if your only reason for helping other people out is to hope that you're going to, gain financial whatever or whatever, I mean, then you may want to take a look at that. But at the end of the day, dude, it's you're on the right track. You're doing the right thing, and my hat's off to you. And that's why I had you on the show. I invited you to be on. I think you're a badass, and I love that, man. So look, I want to wrap this up, Shawn. I want to thank you. I listen. I know that this goes fast. It goes so fast, an hour just boom. It's like what?
It does.
Like it's crazy. So I know that we could talk all day, but I gotta be respectful of people's time. So
absolutely.
So bro, I appreciate you taking the time and coming on, sharing a lot of your story. And keep doing what you're doing, man. Keep inspiring people.
That's what it's all about, man. That's what it's all about. And everybody, I'll close with this. I don't care where you are in life. Do not settle. Never freaking settle. That is the biggest disease you can contract in this world is settling. Do not settle. You are meant to be great. You are meant to be amazing. You know it. I know it. I don't care what level you're at. You've got a little voice inside of you that's gnawing at you, that's telling you you can be doing more. Listen to that voice and do more. All right? I'll leave it with that.
I love it, dude. I love it. You're 1,000% right. So listen, everybody, go follow Shawn Flynn on Facebook, on Instagram. Look him up through the #ICare. You'll find Shawn. And
if you need anything, do not hesitate to reach out. I'm always here. My DM is always open. Do not hesitate.
Appreciate that, dude. All right. Hey, thank you guys. Appreciate all of you. Thank you for the shares. I kept seeing it dinging that we're getting all kinds of shares. So thank you to everybody who shared this. Thank you for the hearts, the thumbs up. We didn't get any laughing cry faces.
Yeah, and I apologize if I missed any. I've been watching Ken and talking to Ken. I'll go back and filter through the comments and make sure I hit everybody back.
Nobody gave us any laughing cry faces. We didn't make them laugh, dude.
Damn it.
I know. I know. What the heck?
I mean, anyway. At least we didn't make him cry. At least we didn't make him cry.
Right.
Oh.
At least you didn't cry. I almost cried. But anyway, hey, thanks for being on, dude. I appreciate you. You guys have an awesome weekend, and we'll see you on Monday. Peace.
See you guys. Have a great weekend.